Hello and welcome to the Ronin M tutorial. So in this tutorial, we're going to look at how to build the Ronin and how to utilize the Either One on top of the gimbal itself. So everything you see here today is everything you need to build the gimbal. So there's quite a few pieces, obviously. We're just going to kind of start with the build of the actual gimbal before the camera. So if we just set the camera to one side, set the prime to one side, first thing you want to do is remove the scaffold support system here. So just press these buttons like that, okay, to kind of bring out the legs, okay? And this is what we're going to mount the actual gimbal onto, okay? So everything you need to build the gimbal is in the box. So again, just repeat the process. You got a little spigot here, and that just pops on like so. It only goes on one way. Just remember to build it so you've actually got the hooks pointing upwards, because you're going to rig the actual gimbal support on top like that. What I find the easiest way to build this moving forward is to kind of set it up so it faces you, so you can actually build it as you face building it. Another thing to note as well actually is that this can actually fit on a C-stand as well. So if you want to build it up higher, you can actually put that on top of a C-stand without a knuckle. So we've got the actual top handle, so that's where you hold the Ronin. Okay. Build it with the brand facing towards you like this, okay? And then we're going to grab the actual handles and we're going to put them equidistant either side of the top handle to the gimbal, okay? These have to be tightened quite extensively. If you notice, you actually have Allen keys that go into the actual gimbal, so you can actually tighten it further, okay? So whilst they lock, you actually have to sometimes use the Allens to actually secure them further. So let's just continue building it, right? So that's kind of the setup like that. You kind of want to have the bars and the grips built so it's like that, okay? So when you hold it and you're operating, you've actually got control over where you pan the camera, okay? So what I'm going to do whilst I'm here is tighten the actual grips themselves. Gimbals roughly take about 30 minutes to build and set up and get running, 45 minutes. If it's the first time you've done it with a camera, I'd say it can take you up to an hour, probably longer, I'd say. So practice and repetition is key with any of these kind of camera systems. There's a lot of moving parts and you've got to be kind of quite methodical about it. So right now, that's quite sturdy. That's not going anywhere anytime soon. Now, everything you need for the Allen keys will be in that bag, okay? You should have 2 Allen keys for this device. Without these Allen keys, you cannot make this work. Every Ronin kit has their own Allens, okay? So let's grab the actual cradle. So the cradle, as you can see, it's quite a big device, okay? So it should kind of spaghetti out like that. So I'll just demonstrate it again. In the actual flight case, it comes like this. And then it should just spaghetti out like that, okay? Base plate's here. Top handle of the cradle goes at the top there. You've actually got this bronze slider at the top here. It's like a retention lock. You pull that down, because what you're going to do now is slide the cradle into the top of the top handle here, okay? If you get stuck, there are arrows, okay? So don't worry. So what you want to do, hold the top handle, loosen the actual screw here as well if the tension's too tight. So let's put that down. Bring it in. Don't be afraid to loosen it. And this can be a bit tricky, I find. So make sure it's quite firm. One sec. Loosen, loosen, loosen. There we go, okay? It's quite firm. You didn't hear a lock there, so I'm gonna take it out and I'm gonna bring it in. That's the lock, okay? When you hear that lock, you then wanna tighten the actual screw here, okay? Give it a good lock. If you need to use the Allen key as well to secure it, secure it. Now I would do this on the actual cradle but I'm just doing it so you can see. So make sure it's nice and tight, because that's going to take the weight of the camera, okay? So, as you can see, that's kind of how it hangs at the moment, okay? Quite loose, quite free, okay? This is your battery, okay? You've got these lock screws here, just loosen them, because this battery is going to sit into the back of the actual gimbal and slide down to lock in, okay? So, just to give you an idea, battery indicators here, okay? So that's the battery indicator right there. You press and hold to turn it on, but let's just slide it in over the top and down, lock, press the button, powers up, lock it in. It's not going anywhere, okay? You've got to press and hold the power button to turn it on now. DJI little bag, right? You'll notice some screws, some 3/8 of an inch screws, okay? You need to make sure you have one, because you're going to need to put it in the base plate. And obviously we're using the EVA today, but you could use a C200, you could use a GH5. It doesn't matter, okay? So we want to make sure we've got one of them handy, because that's how we're going to secure the base plate of the camera to the gimbal, okay? So set that to one side. Let's grab the EVA. We need to strip it of all its weight, okay? So any excess weight we need to get rid of, because we're going to try and keep it as light as possible, okay? It means the gimbal motors don't work too hard, and it means the battery doesn't get exhausted as quickly. It also means balancing will be much easier overall. Let's take off the LCD. So press and hold in, pull out gently, okay? Move that across, turn that over. The LCD is removed here, okay? So remove the LCD. The LCD is actually secured in with a 1/4 inch screw as well. We can actually use that later if we want. Top handle comes off as well, like this. Make sure you keep all these bits to one side, so preferably put it in a camera bag, I find, okay? Take that off, okay? Next step, remove the side handle, okay? So to remove the side handle, there is a lank cable here for controlling the record functions from the side handle. Remove that, it's just plugged under there. It's quite finicky. If you've got small fingers, this will be easier, okay? So make sure that's disconnected, because what we're gonna do now is press and hold on the release grip there. There should be an unlock button here. Rotate it off, and it disconnects, okay? Set that to one side, okay? So that is your body. Use the lighter weight batteries. Make sure it's got a charge, and then just put that in as well, because remember, that is gonna dictate our balance, okay? And whilst we're here, just to make life easier, let's just put the lens on the actual camera as well. So pick a lens beforehand. I'm a big fan of the 24 because I think you can get quite nice wides with it, and you can also get quite nice close-ups with it. So what we want to do now is mount the base plate to the camera. So what I find, the easiest way to do this is to set it upside down, okay? And let's just have a study of where we want to be. Okay, you can put this base plate anywhere on this camera, but obviously wherever we set it is going to dictate whether it's going to be front heavy, back heavy, or it's going to be kind of quite center weighted. So just have a think, where's that going to be and how's that going to react when it's on the cradle? I think we should put it in this screw here, fourth one back, fourth hole back, because if we imagine the base plate's going to be there, I think that's roughly going to be where the center of gravity is. I'd even say now, thinking about it, we could probably move it even further forward. Let's try this. Let's try the third one let's try the fourth one from the front. Okay, so using the supplied Allen key, just remember to give that nice, secure, tight lock. And the key with this is make sure it's straight. Remember, this can go left, this can go right. Make sure it's as centered as possible. Okay, because any misalignment is going to make this whole setup just harder to balance. Okay, so don't be afraid to be quite tight with it. Remember, you want to protect the camera. Camera, slides from the front into the cradle, okay? So make sure this is nice and loose, okay? So this is your lock lever. This is your release lever. There we go, okay. So I've not locked it yet. I probably need to, yeah. Okay, so as you can see now, that isn't balanced, yeah? So we need to balance it. So in order to balance, there's 3 principles to all 3-axis gimbal stabilizers, okay? Tilt, roll, and pan. Those 3 axes need to be balanced in order for this system to work, and that applies to other gimbals as well. So let's deal with the tilt first. So tilt, let's just move the base plate, and let's figure out where the base plate needs to be in relation to the camera, okay? So sometimes you have to repeat these processes to get them right. So I think it's about there. Lock, okay? Now these red latches either side are secured in with Allens, but also they can be moved out as well, okay? So tilt, we're gonna still work on the tilt, loosen them, and drag these up. One sec. There we go. So let's get the balance right. So that's about there. Now loosen the front 2 red screws as well to adjust our roll, okay? So you can slide the camera left and right, okay? So if we just, so try and do this whilst the camera is centered as well as best as possible. About there, okay? Remember, not all cameras are equal, left and right. Okay, now we're getting there, so let's move the base plate back. Take your time with this because it's very, so do you see the minor movements? I've let that loose. I've not secured it yet. It's just a matter of moving it left or right by a matter of millimeters, which dictates the balance. So right now we've got a bit of center of gravity going on here. The gimbal should stay stationary. So be careful when you tighten these. So tighten the locks sequentially, one after the other, okay? Tilt feels good. Yeah, a bit of a list, that's okay. That's probably something to do with the pan. So roll. Minor. Okay, now let's do the roll. Let's do the pan, sorry. So loosen them. Reset, pull these silver locks out like this to kind of reset the gimbal balance, okay? Can everyone see that? So you can pull them out to reset the rotation. Takes a bit of practice, this. There we go. And then lock the red levers into place, okay? Right. So, if we have a look, the camera's pointing up slightly. That's just a matter of moving the base plate. So TRP, tilt, roll, pan, okay? 3 basic principles of gimbal balancing. Okay, see? Matter of millimeters, it's now 2 front forward. So take your time with the balance. So can you imagine if we had a bigger battery, it will become more back heavy. Okay, now every gimbal has a tolerance. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be near enough. So tilt, yeah, tilt, roll, and then pan, okay?